In the game of life, there is one rule that I've lived by, and honestly, it's worked every single time. And that rule is simple. The only way to win is not to play. And I feel like this perfectly applies to everything that's been happening these last 2 weeks with Nintendo and PlayStation, and dare I say even Xbox, because with everything that's been happening right now, we've been seeing recently in terms of price hikes, game cost increases, console cost increases, PS Plus increasing, and everything else, and people getting really upset about having to pay more money for less product, Xbox could be in a good position in order to go ahead and finally be, dare I even say, a pro-consumer company. I know. I was shocked when the words came out of my mouth too. The same people that made games for Windows Live, the same people that have been notoriously trying to go ahead and wall garden the PC marketplace, the same people that have done everything anti-consumer possible, could be doing the one thing that would honestly be the craziest thing of all this entire generation. And that is actually doing nothing and winning. Now, why do I think this? We're going to go over two specific things directly that could be putting Xbox in a good position to probably actually make a good set of headway towards either gaining new subscribers for Game Pass or even new customers in general. The first thing is the Nintendo Switch 2. That pre-launch and that reveal has honestly been abysmal, with so many people just posting things like drop the price in their Nintendo Treehouse live streams, that the streams had to get taken down because of that. The fact that everybody is getting angry about $80 video games. Now, I know the price of the console is contentious, but I feel like $450 is a pretty good price point compared to the Steam Deck and other handheld devices. It would have been ideal, though, if the Switch 2 was $399 and it was an OLED and it had all those other features as well. It would have made it a killer deal. But the real problem has to be, though, is the $80 video games. That's where I feel everybody is losing their minds. And honestly, me too. Because the thing is, if Nintendo gets away with this, then it is simply going to set the precedent for every other game publisher and developer to say, yeah, our game's worth $80 as well. We should charge that. And that really wouldn't put anybody else besides Take-Two and Rockstar to say, GTA 6, that's $100, which would honestly turn every other publisher and developer to say, you know what? We should charge $100 too. Yeah, that'll be worth it. And then watches the entire thing just collapses like a house of cards because nobody can afford anything at all. And the price of eggs is still like $25 for a dozen. So yeah, that's going to be smart, I guess. Not really. But watching that entire train wreck unfold this past week has really been eye-opening. Seeing Nintendo fanboys turn around and do backflips, trying to defend actual DRM, physical cartridges that don't have the game inside of them, in order to access the game directly, to then download to your Switch 2 as if that's a good thing, even though you don't own it and it's a digital process. Whatever. And then using things like the inflation calculator, where, like I said before, the only times I want to hear the word inflation is when the word Futanari is placed in front or behind it, preferably behind it, to do the inflating. And what makes things even crazier is Nintendo knows they're in a negative space, because just yesterday, Digital Foundry posted a video about the Nintendo Switch 2, and their video was nothing more than a paid advertisement from Nintendo directly. I kid you not. And it was literally nobody from Digital Foundry was in the video at all talking about what the Switch 2 could actually do. It was just a narrator from the Nintendo Direct talking about what the Switch 2 can do and the mobile app that goes along with it for Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It has not been met with a good response at all whatsoever. And in fact, it got to the point where Digital Foundry on the channel had to go ahead and put the word ad in front of the actual title to let people know what was happening. So the company everybody thought was bought and paid for either by PlayStation or by Xbox is actually bought and paid for by Nintendo. Which really puts things into question, because now when they do actual reviews of Nintendo products and games that are running on the Switch 2, are they going to be doing things more favorably to get more ad revenue and ad sponsorships from Nintendo? And now it puts into question everything else they've done in the past. So all the people with their tinfoil hats on saying that Xbox cut the check or PlayStation cut a check could in fact be right at those specific times, because if Digital Foundry is willing to shell out their hard-earned channel, I guess if you even want to call it that anymore, for just a simple ad placement for Nintendo Switch 2, then what else could they have gotten money for under the table? Slippery slope, my boys, slippery slope. And as someone that has done sponsored content, it's really difficult to go ahead and just simply say, hey, we're just going to let you buy ad space on our channel. That'll be a good thing for everybody, I guess. Turns out, Not so much, I guess, boys. So yeah, this is going to do more damage than actually good, but watching Nintendo turn around and swarm around and try to pay off other YouTubers to promote their platform and their upcoming games and titles could be a stark indicator of what them actually seeing in the gaming space, that their pricing may in fact be completely out of the range of what is actually accessible for people in today's gaming and age. And that's where Xbox could come in and really swoop in and save the day, basically. But it doesn't end there, because also yesterday, during that exact same time frame, we find out that in Canada, PlayStation is now increasing the cost of PS Plus for subscribers again. They did it for countries in Europe not a few days ago, and now they're doing it in Canada and in Turkey. So who's next to get an increase in prices? And who's going to be able to pay for this in the future? You can't sit here and talk about market conditions when you've raised the price of the console multiple times already, twice in the last 5 years, when usually console prices should be going down, not up, when you've also increased the price of your online services now through multiple other countries, but kept the US safe from those increases, because that's where you actually have competition with Xbox and other places, to pretty much signifying that, hey, we're trying to squeeze every single dollar and cent out of you that we possibly can. With Nintendo doing it and now PlayStation doing it, could this be the actual moment that Xbox doesn't do a sideshow Bob and steps on a rake to slap itself in the face? I really don't honestly know. I would hope they do the right thing and we finally have one company in the gaming space besides Valve being honestly pro-consumer, but this could be the actual quintessential point of where Xbox could capitalize on so many other game developers and publishers trying to be as greedy as possible, because let's be honest, that's exactly what this is. No company that makes profit in the billions of dollars every single year truly needs to make even more than they already do. They just want to see the line go up, and it is in fact pure greed, regardless of how much Bible Black inflation you want to watch. Angel Blade too, but those are oldies but goodies, okay? The thing is, we're talking about Xbox possibly doing the right thing and being able to go ahead and give the consumers a good space to look into. And on top of that, Phil Spencer even went ahead and had an interview with Variety talking about Game Pass and the gaming genre itself. Let's take a look. In an interview with Variety that was also then reposted on Insider Gaming, it stated this: Xbox Phil Spencer was asked about the state of Xbox Game Pass and how he and Microsoft as a company are viewing the business. Spencer said that he's always thought about Game Pass as just another option for somebody who wants to play, and that he's doing what he can to make sure the hours that people are playing increases. Spencer also added that there are some people who should just buy their video games instead. Spencer was quoted by saying, "It's not for everybody. If you play 1 or 2 games a year, Game Pass probably isn't the right business model for you. You should just buy those 2 games. That would make total sense." I have never seen anyone running a company who's trying to push a service model literally tell you to your face, hey, if you're only buying 1 or 2 games a year, maybe this model isn't for you and it probably won't even fit. That is ridiculous to me. Usually CEOs and other people will say things like, no, I would never say that. Buy our product. Buy. He's saying the opposite, because when you break it down, this is how things kind of go. For 12 months a year at $20 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, you're looking at $240 a year. If you're the kind of consumer that only buys 2 games a year, being Call of Duty and also Madden, maybe even NBA 2K if you want to replace Madden for that in between, you're looking at about $140 a year without any sort of microtransactions. Phil Spencer is literally telling you not to use his Game Pass service, which will take an extra $100 out of your bank account every single year, but instead just to buy the 2 games you would ever buy directly and then just use that instead. That is... Think about that. A company that is designed to make money is telling you to not give them more money, to just go ahead and save the money you're going to be spending anyways, because you don't need the Game Pass service if you're only buying 2 games a year. That is crazy. That is literally the most insane thing. And could you imagine if he was like, why would you even pay for it? Just use the Bing access points that you get on the app anyways. Just get all the points and get it for free. Then you got game. Like, that's That's wild. That kind of conversational tone doesn't happen with other CEOs and other major conglomerate corporations. That only happens right now. And I feel like it's happening mostly because Xbox has started to put their games in other platforms and other places where Game Pass doesn't exist. And I think that's going to be the big ticket item. There's been a meme going around saying like, oh, you pay, I play, which is basically just Xbox fanboys saying, well, if you're going to pay $70 to $80 for a video game and I'm only going to pay $20 a month for Game Pass, thanks for funding my Game Pass service. Granted, it's a meme, but when you think about it from this perspective of Phil Spencer literally saying, don't even buy Game Pass if you're going to buy only 2 games a year, they may be onto something. I'm just saying. And to be honest, Game Pass isn't perfect. There's a lot of issues between the console version and the PC version, and the PC app needs a lot of work. I did a couple of videos about this in the past as well. So there is a lot of good headway for them to make on the PC side and be a real competitor to Valve and Steam, which would make Steam get better, which would make Xbox Game Pass get better, which would make everybody on the PC space have a more competitive atmosphere, and then game prices will go down because of it, because there's actual competition between different storefronts besides Epic trying to lock games behind exclusivity, which honestly doesn't work at all. You're better off just trying to have a better service in general than you are just trying to lock away exclusivity. So we pretty much proved that doesn't work, because even if a game's exclusive for a year, PC gamers will just wait. I mean, look what happened to Kingdom Hearts. Everybody said, oh, it finally hit PC when it hit Steam, even though it was on the Epic Game Store for I don't know how many years before it came out on Steam. So we know exclusivity doesn't work on the PC space, but in fact, the other things do work, like a better ease of use, better UI, better ability to actually provide proper feedback for customers and good support for actual users. And that's where the value is going to be seen overall. If Xbox and Game Pass can get their UI, can get their systems in line with each other and have the ability to have a better experience for the end user at an affordable price, it could work out for them in the long run to not only have people who can't buy Game Pass because they don't want to buy an Xbox or have a PC just to buy those games, people that do have Xbox just to use Game Pass directly. That way, Xbox gets money from basically everyone and theoretically wouldn't have to raise pricing on anything at all. But here's the crazier part when Phil Spencer talks more about Game Pass itself. Check it out. In the interview, Spencer noted that he wants players to have the choice of how they consume and acquire games. It's why, as he says, the company is quote-unquote focused on making sure that every game playable on Game Pass is also available to buy. Spencer's quoted by saying this, "We're making those games available to buy in more places," he said, "and I look at the overall hours of people who are playing on Xbox, playing our games, and that's a number that continues to grow fairly substantially, and that's really the metric I think about for success. And Game Pass has been an important part of that, but I don't try to solve for Game Pass specifically on its own. It's kind of part of the equation for Xbox finding new players." Now, that isn't the only part that's missing. You see, Insider Gaming missed one part specifically that I think really highlights what's been happening. I was able to pull the Variety article, and here's what Phil Spencer actually had to say about the console space and Game Pass in general. "Our biggest areas of growth right now are PC and cloud, which makes sense since consoles all up are a good business. They're an established business, but they're not really a growing segment in gaming. So we've got good growth on PC, we've got growth on cloud in terms of users and hours, and console continues to be a really healthy part of Game Pass. But there isn't a unique need for Game Pass to be the only way for people to play. If everybody who's a Game Pass subscriber instead decided to buy their games, that's good for the business as well." And like I said before, that entire meme that Xbox fanboys were using about you pay, I play, it seems to be true in effect, with PC Game Pass leading the way of the biggest amount of growth, where we're seeing console sales pretty much stagnate as we've seen the last couple of generations, with about 100K to 150K being the max lead of what you're seeing of who you can sell consoles to. Putting your games on multiple platforms is honestly going to be the best way. Keeping exclusivity may not be the best way of leading people towards a unique value proposition moving forward in the market in the future. Now, it still holds value today at some specific points, but the thing is, like we've seen before, exclusivity on the Epic Game Store for PC didn't really do much for them. And a lot of game developers just took the bag from Epic and then got double paid from Steam when the game actually released. And that's really how it's being abused. Pretty much just screwing Epic over and then having a 1.0 release for actual Steam users. So the only person that benefits is the dev, which is kind of wild when you think about it. But when you see this happening directly and you see Game Pass being ubiquitous in the terms of what they're trying to do and being part of everything, and people not understanding the whole like everything's an Xbox marketing that we saw the last 6 months ago, people trying to explain it to everybody else, Xbox could be in the prime position to say, hey, if you're looking for a pro-consumer, affordable option of how to play your video games, here we have it for you directly. Whether you're on PC, on Game Pass, or any other system directly, we can either go ahead and get your sub-service of what you want to do, or you can buy the game outright on whatever platform you prefer to play on, which makes a lot more sense than trying to just jack up the prices on people and really just squeeze blood from a stone by everybody else is doing right now, like Nintendo and PlayStation. $80 games, $100 plus for PSN for a year in Canada and other countries. It kind of puts things into perspective. Like I said, either Xbox is going to do a couple of things. They could either squeeze more juice out of the actual lemons they already have, or just get more lemons. And I think they chose option number 2. Having the ability to sell to other people, and even though console fanboys want to fight about my exclusives and my console wars, you don't sell no systems, that may not be what makes a market leader anymore. And instead, it's going to be actual users on your platform. The entire concept of fanboys trying to fight now about console sales is just going to be the same amount of consoles they sell every single generation. 100K to 150K, when in reality, they're just going to be turning around spending $70 for video games from Xbox on their PlayStation, so Xbox gets a cut. Xbox players and PC players will just either get Game Pass for free through Bing Rewards points or just paying for Game Pass directly, so Xbox gets a cut, and then people can then pick and choose how they want to play their video games. It's kind of crazy to me that if this actually happens the right way and Xbox doesn't increase the price of Game Pass or increase the price of their consoles and follow suit with everybody else, they could in fact be the most pro-consumer approach right now for gaming in this next generation moving forward. With every other company wanting to increase prices and lock things off, this could be the proper way of actually providing a good value for the customer and consumer that wants to play video games and keep those insane people that are going to spend all that extra money on products that pretty much they're not even going to ever own. Thanks, Ubisoft. I honestly never expected to make this kind of video where I would literally be saying Microsoft is probably right now the most pro-consumer leader in the actual gaming space next to Valve, or just behind Valve, honestly, because if somebody hacks your account on Steam, they're going to get that account back. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, in terms of like the console makers, this could be a big deal for a lot of people. But the thing is these gaming companies are only looking at the whales. And honestly, there's only a few whales to leech off of that you possibly can, but way more other kinds of people that can't pay as much, but will go ahead and give you their small amount of money that they can afford every single month or every couple of months or every so often to go ahead and play a game there. And there's far more many of them than there are of actual whales in the industry. I think that's what Microsoft is looking at, casting a much wider net for more players than they are of actually trying to go ahead and leech money from just a few individuals that will go ahead and sustain them for the entire time, which honestly is a house of cards built on sand. And hopefully, if the other rumors are coming in correct about the Xbox handheld and everything else coming along that pathway, and also the backwards compatibility and forward compatibility with all their software moving forward with hardware, we could be seeing the potential of Microsoft being a true pro-consumer platform, giving the user the proper space and ability to have a cheap point of entry, but also have a huge plethora of games. Because in the end, that's what's the most important part about this hobby, is games to play and playing those games in the best way possible. And honestly, the most affordable way possible with the way things are going. And hopefully, though, Microsoft doesn't go ahead and screw me the entire time by raising the price of Game Pass, not about a week after I make this video. Will be funny to see, though, I'll tell you that. Imagine if they did that, though. Like, I put this video out like, hey, you guys are being pro-consumer. Good job. And then all of a sudden, they're like, Game Pass, $35 a month. It's like, oh, great. Now I'm a flip-flopper. Now I'm just a flip-flop. You know, that'd be that whole thing. That'd be just... That would be my luck. That really would be my luck. Well, anyways, y'all, let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Do you think Microsoft is on the right path? Do you think that if they do nothing, they could in fact just win? And honestly, what do you think about everybody else raising their prices in the gaming industry and how that's going to go for you as well? If you want to see more of this kind of content, more of my hot takes in the gaming industry, more gaming news, PC port reviews, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We've just broken 81,000 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you guys so very much. It has honestly been insane. I've never expected anything like this. I guess I can say on the road to 100K? Maybe? And maybe if we ever hit 100K, I might do something insane, like, I don't know, wearing a Cammy cosplay from Street Fighter, the green one with the thong. So, who knows what'll happen? You know what I'm saying? But look, if you want to go ahead and join the Discord or get access to Emotion during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern. You'll love it. Trust me, the live streams are insane and the community is honestly amazing. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!